For the final time this decade, we are live from Full Sail University. Will we go out with meh, unfortunately, or my brutality? This is NXT Graded. We start hot with the NXT Championship on the line. Adam Cole defending against Finn Bálor, whose graphics now say Prince Bálor, but with a cross over the C. Prine Bálor? Prinay Bálor? Okay. This feels like a WWE style championship match. Not saying that in a bad way. Finn Bálor dominating pretty much all of this until Cole manages to get a kick on Bálor while he's on the apron. And then from there, these two trade driving positions. We see an amazing sequence late into the match where Cole goes for a Panama Sunrise. Finn Bálor stops it, turns it into what looks like a 1916. And then Cole stops that and turns it into an Ushigoroshi. Bang! I thought we saw some fans get laid out when Bálor hit a shotgun dropkick into the barricade. There was one lad who had his legs trapped under the barricade for the majority of this match. He was sort of comically screaming out, "It's all right, he was a plant." So I'm told. After said shotgun dropkick on Cole, Bálor hoists him back into the ring, goes for the coup de grace, misses as Cole gets out of the way, blasts Bálor with a final shot for a 2.99999. Bálor retaliates and a short while later hits the coup de grace. Looks like he's going to hook up Adam Cole for the championship winning 1916. And then Johnny Gargano's music hit. Out walks Gargano, stares down Bálor long enough for Cole to get a boom low blow and a boom final shot. And Adam Cole retains the NXT title. After the match, Gargano hits the ring with a steel chair and just wails on Finn Bálor, who's just left staggering out of the ring and just crawling to the backstage area. Gargano is back, and he is back with a mission to batter Bálor. Giving this an A to get us started, I thought it was a really solid way to kick off the final NXT of 2019. These two work really well together, and I also feel like with Bálor and Ciampa from a few weeks ago, they've left a little bit back because I think we're going to see these guys go at it again. So they haven't given us everything just yet. But even so, what they gave us was great. This is an A. Damian Priest takes on Killian Dain now. It's two big lads battering each other. It's my favourite wrestling trope. Damian Priest has injured ribs. He's got the tape on and everything. And all of Killian Dain's offense is just wearing down the ribs. Just constantly big splashes, big elbows into that part of the body. And the story of the match is Damian Priest trying to overpower Dain. But because his ribs so banged up, every time he goes for a suplex, he just reels in pain, and it gives Dain another opportunity to work him over. Priest fights back somehow. Big old lariat, big old elbows in the corner, even guts it out to hit that big suplex on Killian Dain. Really brings Full Sail to life, that does. As does Damian Priest's sit-out chokeslam on Dain. Flipping it, mate. Thought your ribs were broken. 2.999 on that one. Dain, however, continues to work over that injured spot. He wipes out Damian Priest, goes up top for a Vader bomb, but Priest gets the knees up and manages on the bounce back to hit the reckoning. 1, 2, 3. And a really popular win for Damian Priest, who gutted it out through an injury to overcome Killian Dain. Giving this a B, it was a really simple story told, but told really well. I think Damian Priest seems to be really getting over as a babyface, which I think is a surprise to everybody. Really felt like a top good guy here. And Killian Dain, once again, still looking strong in defeat. He is a monster in there. These two work really well told. A nice, simple story. I'm down for that. We get the announcement that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is coming back next year. I am all for this. I enjoyed every single Tag Team Classic tournament, although it goes against my conventional theory that two randomers teaming together shouldn't be successful as a tag team when competing against actual tag teams, because this is the tournament that saw Finn Bálor and Samoa Joe win in the inaugural one. I do believe it was the inaugural one. We'll see how this pans out. I'm up for it. I'm excited for it. Cameron Grimes versus Kushida. The battle for the hattle. Kishida stole Cameron Grimes' hat last week. So that's the modus operandi for Grimes wanting revenge. Close quarters grappling to get us started, but Kishida is just outshining Grimes through most of this. It ends up being not even. It's more sort of 60-40 Kishida this match, showcasing a lot of incredible Kishida offense. A beautiful sit-out arm bar a bit early on into the match. We see a beautiful senton to the outside, sort of Jeff Hardy swanton style to Grimes on the outside. Just Kishida is so crisp and flowing in that ring, and Grimes is perfect foil. This match comes down to back and forth strikes in the ring. We see Kishida go for a springboard tornado DDT. Grimes manages to bring it to a halt, hits the cave-in, 1, 2, 3. Cameron Grimes just pinned Kishida. After the match, Grimes is outside the ring, clearly in a lot of pain. He staggers over to the corner. He grabs his hat. The crowd cheers. He puts it back on his head, and he makes his way back up the ramp, having revenged his stolen headwear. This was a B+ for me. That's some amazing offense from Kishida. I think he's brilliant, and he loses nothing in losing here. As for Cameron Grimes, there has been such an effort to get this guy into a power position on the NXT roster. So they've obviously got big plans for him in 2020. You know what? You can't go wrong with Cameron Grimes. I think he's been great every week. Incidentally, if you're a big fan of confrontations over headwear larceny, I can highly recommend Raw from 1994 that features the Repo Man versus the Macho Man Randy Savage for ownership of Randy Savage's multicolored Panama. Io Shirai takes on Santana Garrett next. Chance of Io's gonna kill you at the start. Actually, couldn't have been more from the truth. Santana Garrett got quite a lot in this particular match. We see some great Japan influence moves from Santana Garrett. Great Muta rolling elbow at one point. The Muta lock is in there as well. Garrett gets a lot in this match. But this is really Shirai's fight, and she continues to get shut down by Io Shirai. Big moonsault to finish. 1, 2, 3, and Io Shirai leaves with the win. C+ for me. This was fine. It was a good match. There wasn't a whole lot to it. I think Garrett looked good in it. I think Shirai looked good in it as well. A lot of talk about how Io Shirai, Mara mentioned this a couple of times, how Io Shirai has, I think, 7 matches in the Match of the Year candidate for the NXT Year End Awards. So Io Shirai has had a phenomenal year, and I think she'll be a big part of plans in 2020 as well. We get a Worlds Collide preview now as Pete Dunne takes on Travis Banks. Last week, Travis Banks faced Jackson Riker, and it was a match that I don't think really did a lot for Banks. This, however, much better. Both men getting big moves. We see Banks at one point with a beauty of a flurry, multiple corner drop kicks, big old cannonball in the corner, plancha to the outside, followed by a missile drop kick, only getting 2. There's a fun little moonsault sequence where Banks throws Pete Dunne into the corner, who moonsaults out of the corner to avoid it, and then Banks goes up onto the top rope thinking, slice of heaven, here's a good opportunity. And in a split second, you see Pete Dunne stood there watching this. He shrugs as if to go, "What are you doing, mate?" And then as Banks comes down, just waffles him with a punch. I don't think it was meant to be a funny spot, but it made me chuckle. Late into the match, the story is that Pete Dunne just cannot hit the bitter end on Travis Banks. Banks just keeps finding a way out of it. We even see Travis Banks hit his big old finish, the Kiwi Crusher, but only getting 2. Banks looks for a superplex late into the match, but Dunne is able to fight out, hits an avalanche X-plex, followed by finally getting on the bitter end. Bang! 1, 2, 3. Pete Dunne beats Travis Banks. Neither man looked bad in this match. They even did a little fist bump at the very end. This is the match that I think Banks needed just to establish himself with the American NXT audience. I'm giving this an A-. This was a really strong match between these two. I feel like what let it down slightly was everything felt quite rushed. If you want to see these guys in a well-paced match, I would recommend you seek out Progress Wrestling's Chase the Sun from 2017. We had Pete Dunne and Travis Banks for the Progress title. They get about 25 minutes. And it's beautiful. Dakota Kai interview. She's got 8 staples in her head after being attacked after her match with Mia Yim last week. But Dakota Kai makes the very valid point that she won the match. So it doesn't matter what rhetoric Mia Yim spins. And Dakota Kai says she's going to keep on winning until she becomes the NXT Women's Champion. And I love this heelness from Dakota Kai. The idea that it's a heel who goes, I don't really care how I win, because all that matters is that I win. So I want to see every week Dakota Kai just continue to cheat her way through the division. I think that's a really good spot for her to be in. I think that's not enough heels really do that in NXT, i.e. I'm just going to take every shortcut possible to try and win. Well, there's the main event, more on that in a second. But overall, that's a real role that Dakota Kai can play going forward. And here we bloody go. It is main event o'clock for the NXT Women's Championship. It is Shayna Baszler defending against Rhea Ripley. Shayna Baszler is intimidated by Rhea Ripley. You keep seeing that throughout the match. Early on, Baszler tries to end it really quickly by stamping on Rhea's arm. When Rhea manages to push out of it, you just see the look in Baszler's eyes. The eyes tell so much of the story in this match. Ripley just dominates Baszler for such a long time in this match. Whatever Baszler tries to do, she just can't quite get the advantage over Ripley. It isn't until the horsewomen make their presence felt, when Duke and Shafir make their way out to the ring, distract Ripley long enough for Baszler to get the advantage. And then we see the match start to turn. We see Baszler stamp on the arm of Rhea Ripley on the steps, and Ripley just hits the ground screaming in pain. You see Baszler in the ring going, this is it. I've got this now. I got this. We then have a good 10 minutes of this match, which is devoted to Shayna Baszler wearing down that injured arm of Ripley. Baszler, who is intimidated by Rhea Ripley's challenge for her title, smells blood in the water, and she is just going for this arm over and over and over again. Ripley manages to gut through this, hits a drop kick on Baszler that knocks out the referee, and then carnage breaks loose then. As the match spills to the outside, we see Shayna Baszler bring a steel chair into the ring, hit a DDT on Ripley onto the steel chair, but only getting 2.5. And then we come to the clutch. This is where Baszler locks in that big old clutch on Ripley. Ripley tries to get out of it a couple of times, but she really tightens the hold at one point, and they have this for ages. Ripley is hanging in there, and you see her fading and fading and fading. She tries to come back. You think, okay, this is where she breaks out. No, she doesn't make it. She's fading, she's fading, she's fading. She tries to push through again, and she's fading, and she's fading, she's fading. The referee checks the arm, and you think, okay, well, that's not how I thought the year would end. Ref raises Ripley's arm. Arm drops, Ripley grabs the referee by the shirt. Then you see the fire in Ripley's eyes, and you see the fear in Baszler's, as Rhea Ripley forces herself back to her feet, rolls through it, locks in the prism, and you think this is going to be it? Baszler manages to scuttle out of that once again. We get to a point in the match, just a few minutes later, where Baszler has Ripley on the top rope, and she is just running down verbally Ripley, who is dazed on the top rope. Ripley headbutts Baszler, picks her up, hits an avalanche top rope style riptide. 1, 2, 3. Rhea Ripley has become the NXT Women's Champion, celebrating in the ring to close out 2019 at Full Sail University with the fans who just all pile into the ring, and they're holding up her on her shoulders at the very end of the match. This was an A+. This was easily an A+. Rhea Ripley turned up at NXT a few months ago, and they waited and they were patient and they built this match, and they telegraphed this match from the moment that Ripley turned up in NXT, and you see the fear in Baszler's eyes. Like, we know this is going to be. Baszler knows that she has seen her fate, and they built this so beautifully over the last few months. So when this match finally came round, we see a very different kind of Shayna Baszler in this. We don't see the overly dominant, swaggering Baszler, at least not until the horsewomen help her get that advantage. Like, we see like a concerned, intimidated Shayna Baszler and a confident, aggressive Rhea Ripley, who ends up dethroning the champion to end the year for NXT. And I can't not give this an A+. This was perfect storytelling. And I know we talked about this over the last couple of weeks, and I said Rhea Ripley's going to become the champion on this show. I knew this was coming. But because I knew it was coming, didn't mean it was the wrong thing to do. I think sometimes we get a little bit het up in the fact that because we call it, therefore it shouldn't happen. No, absolutely not. I think this was the right thing to happen. Rhea Ripley is the leader of the NXT Women's Division now, and she has earned her spot there, and she is the obvious choice. The reaction when she won that belt, thunderous from Full Sail. And Full Sail are a brilliant crowd. Thanks for the Keith Lee stuff, by the way. Love you for that. But the reaction was phenomenal. Great reactions from the crowd. Great match by both people involved. A+. I'm giving this an A+ for the entire show. I thought this was a great way to end 2019. I thought they knocked it completely out of the park. It has been a very different beast that we have known from NXT. Now it is live on a Wednesday night. There is a very different style, and I, for one, am here for it. I cannot tell you how lucky I am. Like, how lucky I am to be ending the year as the guy who every week gets to sit with you and talk about NXT. Pachiti's got Raw, and that's a bit more. Sam, who did this job so well before I got here, God loves Sam, is now doing SmackDown. And Jack's doing AEW, and AEW is great fun as well. But like, man, we get to talk about NXT. And you know what? We get to do it more next year. We haven't got an NXT graded next week because it's just a couple of random matches they pre-recorded, and we're all going away for Christmas. So no graded next week. Graded returns in 2020. Thank you for your amazing support in 2019. You have no idea how much it means, and you have no idea how excited I am to come and chat NXT with you throughout 2020. Love you, bye. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Cultaholic. Lastly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.